Hello YouTube. Because I have to stay in bed for a long while, and because you are so interested in my last video on the improvised water filter, I decided to post a series of videos about water purification, how to do it the right way. First of all, why do we need to purify water? Well, while it's true that our body is able to cope with a certain amount of pollutants, and it's also true that most of the times the water is cleaner than we imagine, well, we can never be sure. And because the consequence of drinking polluted water above the quantity that you can deal with can be very, very serious, even death, it's better to stay on the safe side and purify it before we drink it. But for us to purify the water, we must first know what is in there. Well, there are three main categories of water pollutants. First category is particles, the second is chemicals, and the third is living things. The first category consists mostly of sand and various debris and pieces of wood and leaves and so on. Those are not harmful per se. So you could drink the water as it is if this was the only pollution in there. But there are several reasons for what you should remove them from the water before drinking it. First, and the most obvious, is because water with particles in it is unpleasant to drink. The second, more serious reason is that the said particles can harbor other pollutants. So it's not the mud in the water that kills you, it's the microorganisms that lives in the mud that will kill you. Another reason is that the debris, for example, can decompose and release chemicals that can be toxic or dangerous. And furthermore, the last reason is that the debris from the water, the particles from the water, will interfere with purifying the water from the other categories of pollutants. So yes, you should get rid of the particles from the water first thing. How do we know that there are particles in the water? Well, that's the easiest thing to do, because we can see them. If the water is transparent, there are only small amounts of particles in that water. If the water is milky or muddy, obviously the particles are in large quantities. Now, the second category of pollutants from the water are chemicals. They can vary a lot, from salts dissolved from the ground, from underground, which usually are okay. Some of them can be even good for you, like in mineral water that has medical properties. Some of them can be harmful, especially in large amounts. There are also man-made chemicals that accidentally get into the water, and those are most of the time toxic. It's obvious why we should remove them. It's not an easy thing to do, but that's the subject for another video. So how do we know if the water is polluted or not with chemicals? Well, there are a couple of signs. First of all, we could smell them, the pollutants from the water. We could taste them, but that is not always the case. Sometimes the smell or the taste of the water is not affected by the chemicals in it. so we just can't know that the water is polluted. The third category of pollutants is, of course, the biological one, the living things in the water that will harm you. And we are talking about various size and various species, starting from the intestinal worms and their eggs, and going to unicellular microorganisms, parasitic organisms, and further to bacteria and viruses. How do we know that there are such of microorganisms in the water? Well, we can't see them. Sometimes we can smell the products of their activity, and the water stinks, but that's only sometimes, and most of the times we can't know, we can't see them in there, we can't feel them in there, we can't taste them in there. There is no way to know that the water is polluted or no. Well, we can use our brain and if the water is from a spring, it should probably be clean from this point of view. If the water is from a river, a large river in a plain, it will be probably polluted. But just to be sure, we need to purify it. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you like it. See you next week. Bye bye.